Hello and welcome back to another edition of the How I Failed in Business podcast, where me and my... No, I fucked it. Sorry, let me go again.
You should do outtakes. Oh. I love the outtakes.
That's the first time I've ever buggered up.
We have plenty.
Yeah. Hello and welcome back to another edition of the How I Failed in Business podcast, where we want to share with you plenty of stories about failures, mishaps and mistakes so that you don't have to make the same mistakes. I'm one of your hosts, Rob Spence.
And I'm your other host, Sophia Grace.
And today we are joined by Lucy Kay, performer, a fantastic performer.
Oh, thank you.
No, thanks for coming in. Good to have you with us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
No, this is going to be good. And this is, I'm quite intrigued about this one because this is the first podcast we've recorded where, in my opinion, you're a business owner. In my opinion, because you own your own destiny, you've got your own career, but not necessarily an owner of a business. But tell us about yourself.
Yeah, well, my business is me. That's my voice and what I do. That's how I make a living. I first started out singing when I was 7 years old. Actually, earlier age of 2. My mum saw me. It was the radio, and I used to turn the dial to classical FM. And she was, I used to mimic the opera singers and dance around the room. She thought that was weird. And then my sister would turn it straight back to the pop channel. And I kept doing that for a number of times. And I don't think my mum really thought anything into it. And then there was one day I just, had the desire to sing classical music. And it was there from the age of 7. And I just decided that I wanted to be like Charlotte Church. So we got on to singing, and I can talk about that later, but then that's, what led me on to this big, varied career that I've had. I've been on Britain's Got Talent. I've sang in Joseph as the narrator. I've sang with Andrea Bocelli. I've done so much, and I'm just name-dropping now, but you have to, so...
One day you'll name-drop on this podcast.
Absolutely. As I said earlier, I've peaked now. I said I don't need to do anymore.
This is it. Just going back to sort of like your early days singing, 2 things that have kind of really been brought up there. Any reason for the classical music, do we know, or was it?
No, not really. I think I must have liked the sound or something. I don't know. My mum always said that maybe there was something that I was always destined to do. It was, some people have their lives and careers like carved out for them at a very early age, and I'm a very firm believer of that, actually, because why would I have just instantly loved that sound or known how to turn that dial to Classic FM and just go, I love that sound, and then I want to sing at the age of 7, just be like, that's what I want to do. And I mean, my mum was just obviously quite shocked and didn't know what to do. Like, how do you get your child into being an opera singer, really? So, but I joined a choir called Cantarmus. They're based in Mansfield, and they're a 40-strong female choir, and we travelled all around the world. So I did that from the age of 7 till I was 21. Then I went off to music college. So
amazing. And I was researched some stories about you singing from behind a sofa.
Oh,
is that right?
Yes. It's actually it was a nervous thing. I loved singing, and I liked the fact that I was bringing people joy. But I was terrified of people like watching me. And I had a lot of performance anxiety. It was like I really wanted to sing, but then equally I didn't want people to watch me. And I went through that whole, I think you'll see that on the Britain's Got Talent episode as well in 2014 when I was doing my first audition. I was just petrified. Even though I was at music college at that point, I was still petrified of standing up in front of people. Now I love it. You can't shut me up. So.
On that audition, we watched it only yesterday, didn't we? And it did, I said to you earlier, brought a tear to my eye, and it was beautiful. And what was really nice, so the video I watched had only been published onto YouTube 5 months ago.
Right.
And do you ever look through comments, what people say about you?
I used to, but then I learned very quickly that you shouldn't, because one, you can get quite boastful and you can get quite a big head from it and think, oh, you can go either one or 2 ways. Or you can focus on the one negative comment that you get. And I remember I had a review once for Joseph, and they just didn't particularly like me as a performer, and that's fine. Everyone's got their opinion. And I was so gutted, and I let it affect me so much. But then there was loads of others that were amazing, and they just paled into insignificance because I was gutted. But now I don't care, really. Everybody's got an opinion on something. You can't, not everyone likes Beyonce, so...
No one think taste.
Exactly, but these comments are beautiful, and so I didn't write them down, they were written down somewhere else, but they were saying, I think this was before the golden buzzer. They said that was a proper golden buzzer moment. People are saying it was making them well up as well, and this girl's got a bright future ahead of her and all sorts. It was lovely.
It's so nice, and I do appreciate that, and I probably should, if I'm ever feeling down, have a little look through to just remind myself of what joy I bring probably to others, and even sometimes when I'm not so joyous myself. So, and I do appreciate it. It's lovely, but I tend to stay clear of that just because it doesn't... I don't know. All I need to know is that I'm still doing what I do because I love it and because it is bringing joy. Because the minute that doesn't happen, then you've got to question why you're doing things, right? And it shouldn't be just for the money. It should be, what you're giving others and also yourself. So
yeah, and I think going on to your sort of your whole journey, we've got some questions that we do want to ask about Britain's Got Talent. And obviously that journey, and there's been a very prosperous career thereafter with some secondments in between, which we might dig into for want of a better term. But I'll let Sophia take some of the lead for now.
So just to sort of go back to what you're saying, obviously this passion began at an early age, but when did you sort of think, I'm actually going to try and pursue this, not just as a creative endeavour, but as a career that I do want to?
Definitely when I was at school, I used to get really bad grades for anything like academically. Like I just was not interested. And at the time I didn't realise how important school actually was. And so I did, obviously it delayed me on getting to college at the time everybody else was, because then I had to catch up and redo some of my GCSEs. But the thing was, I got top marks in my music and my performance and everything else, and they were just like, but I knew that this was what I wanted to do. I had no interest in doing any other work experience in any other field. I wanted to be in theatre, but I ended up having to go to a school and teach, and I remember being so embarrassed because it was I think it was maths. I hate maths with passion. I was thinking, if you've got a calculator, great. It's fine. That's my friend. And I remember this little girl asked me, what's this times this? And I was like, oh, it's this. It was wrong. And the teacher came and she was like, no. Like, that's wrong. Don't listen, that's wrong. And I was mortified. And then I was like, oh, gosh. Oh, and I was like, just get me on the stage. Like that's when I just knew it. I just wasn't made for anything else. So, and then it wasn't until I did my A-levels, and my singing teacher, Elaine Guy at the time, she home tutored me and helped me get my GCSEs that I needed to get. And she is one of the most influential people in my life. She is amazing, and I'm still in touch with her. I'm having singing lessons with her just before I go off on my next work contract, and she's just amazing. She's been a real staple figure in my life. To one, I have to thank you, because she is I wouldn't be where I am without her, actually, because she saw something that that obviously I couldn't do this on my own. So she saw something in me and helped me all the way, and it's just I've got a lot to owe that lady. Yeah. It's amazing. It's fantastic.
Well, I feel you, because maths is also my nemesis. I didn't pass, this is embarrassing for me, I didn't pass my GCSE maths until my final year of A-levels.
Yes.
And even then I only got C.
Oh, but it's the same, because I had to do that as well. But I did it twice. And the first time I did it, to resit it, I actually got the worst mark than I did previously. I actually just sat there and was like, I'll do this.
I refused to benefit. I cried. But no calculator, who needs anything else? But in terms of, so obviously you've decided now, right, I'm pursuing music. You're maybe 16, 17 now at this point where you're like, music's going to get done.
Yes.
What was did you have any goals set out where you're like, if I do this, I'll be on the right track of what it is that I want to be doing?
No, really, honestly, I hadn't got a clue. I lived in in cuckoo land, probably, actually, because I just was like, I'll just sing. And I just thought I'll just sing. I know that was what it was. I'll sing. I didn't think I needed to go to music college, but obviously I'm a singing teacher, then you do. How are you going to, so I was like, okay, I'll do that. But I still, even when I went off there and I was 21, I was doing the classes and things, and we were doing composition, we were learning languages, we had to write composition pieces for orchestras, and I was like, oh, this is so boring. I just wanted to sing, and couldn't understand why I was not just singing 24 hours a day, and it really did annoy me. And I don't know, it's a weird thing, because I just didn't want to put in it's really bad. I didn't want to put in the kind of technical work or anything. I just wanted to stand on stage and sing from the heart. And it was just an overbearing feeling that I had to do. And I remember my teachers being like, you need to know how to sing technically because this is how opera works. You need to be able to do this for your stamina and stuff like that. But also we had improvisation classes, and also interpretation classes. So I sang a song, and I remember my teacher at the time, she was sobbing. She was like, that was amazing. She was like, please tell the class how you interpreted. So I did. I told her how I thought this song went. And she was like, no, that's wrong. She was like, it's about this. And I was like, but you felt this. And that was my reasoning is, if you don't know anything about opera, you don't know anything about classical music, and someone's singing in a foreign language, it doesn't matter. Because even if you don't understand, you can still feel something. You can feel like a memory. It takes you to a completely different place, or it reminds you of a loved one or something. And if that's what I can do for you, then job done. And that's all. So sometimes it's very naughty. Sometimes I just sing songs without actually knowing. I know the basics of it, but I actually just sing it because I love to sing. So I'm probably, I don't know. I'm not a fake, but I feel like really I was not really selling myself. Really, I just don't feel like I'm selling myself that well, but I don't really care about the technicalities of it.
Yeah.
I just love and have that passion. So if you feel it too, then we're on the right tracks.
Yeah. But I think we've had these conversations, I see music as art, as many people do. And
Really, yeah.
You're a massive art fan.
Massive art fan.
I'm a massive art fan. And we've discussed this before, the art is in the eye of the beholder to a degree. You feel the emotion from what you see,
Absolutely.
I could feel the eyes of judgment on my collection. What did you say my collection would be called earlier?
Pornographic nonsense, I think.
Yeah, pretty much. With Dale Platt, weird young girls and sex posters.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I just like to make clear that it's not my collection. It's about 80%.
It is.
It's about 80%.
Yeah, but yeah, we're very much. We've had a lot of off-camera conversations about the interpretations of art, and I think that is what we both find the most important. We've got let's call them diverse collections.
Diverse, yeah. Good way. That's a good way of putting it.
And diverse music tastes.
Yeah, mine's better though, 100%.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, it has to be. Your band's in there for you, and I would never touch it. So.
True. That's true. So what was the kind of what's the word I'm looking for? What was the intention of applying and auditioning for Britain's Got Talent? Where did that idea come from?
Well, I didn't initially go for that off my own back.
Okay.
There were scouts that came into our music college at the time. So it's all very much, a lot of people do audition off their own backs, but there is a lot that is scouted. So they wanted a classical singer for this particular season. And before that, the season before, they had Jonathan and Charlotte, who were in a duet. This time they wanted a solo female artist. So, do you want to audition? And I said, oh yeah, okay, I'll go for it. I had to prepare 3 pieces, classical piece, a pop piece and a crossover, and it was just a really bad audition. I just thought it was the worst thing I'd ever. I got really nervous, and at this point, I'm still nervous. I'm nervous about myself as a person, let alone my voice. It's just, and people watching me. So I just thought, well, that's it. I've shot it. I'm never going to get my dream of just... But I mean, to be fair, that wasn't my dream. It was just... I just thought, actually, that could catapult me to where I wanted to go. Oh, well, I'll just try the opera route and continue at uni. And then I got a call back like 2 weeks later. I was in the bath at the time at the phone, and they were like, we'd like to invite you for an audition for the judges round. And I screamed. I was like, oh my gosh. And then, and then I went, and it was, I don't think I would ever do that now, because I think I must have been bonkers. It was, I think it was 11 million people watched that. Yeah. Insane. I couldn't, no. I mean, it's fine. I can do it when I stand on stage, but like, I don't know, like, with a live, I just don't know TV, because if you mess up, that's it. And I did mess up. I messed up royally, because what they said, they don't show you in the actual episode, is that they got me to sing a crossover song first, which was Who Wants to Live Forever, but it was too loud. They gave you the backing track for it, so you have to go through everything that's loud on the TV. It's too low, so I'm there. And I sang it, and then Simon put his hand up and he was like, this is a really bad audition. I was like, what? So I'm so nervous, and you see that because I've already sang a really bad song. It's so low, and I kept telling the producers, this is too low for me to sing, and they wanted it because it might be good for TV. So they do things in a certain amount of way that you are put in a very compromising position. Luckily enough, they didn't show that bit on, but they did show the bit where because he said, they didn't show this bit, but they said, well, you need to choose another song. And I was like, oh, well, Visidarte. And he said, oh, I don't know that one. And I said, I know, but please, I think you'll like it. He went, well, on your head be it. And that was the conversation I had in front of all these people and on TV. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I was so nervous that then obviously I'm fidgeting, and then I go to sing it. But then they're supposed to cut it off after about 30, 40 seconds. They didn't. They carried it on. And that was one of my backup songs, which I only learnt half of it. So actually on the YouTube clip that you've seen probably, I make up some words. Oh. I literally don't know what I'm singing. It could have been pasta orientated. I don't know. I was like, oh my gosh. And I just make it up and just sing from the heart. So whatever came to me, I just sang. But they loved it. They ain't got a clue. They ain't got a clue anyway, because it was in Italian and made up language. And it was fantastic, but also not for me, because I didn't realise, because it just carried on. And yeah. And then they all stood up on the feet, and I was like, wow, blacked it. So, but if you do go through the comments section very early on, that's when obviously I will not ever look again, because they're like, she's not even singing the right words, and it's all the opera buffs like, this is terrible. It was amazing, because I just thought, well, there you go, you've got the Joe blogs that don't know anything about opera or classical music or Italian, and I've just basically lied to them, but I brought them to tears. Yeah. So I must admit, I do forget my words quite a few times, like in my career. I have. It's fine. Even in Joseph, I was like saying the brothers' names, and you just get stressed. And I was supposed to say, is it him? And I was like, it's got to be a name. And I was thinking Zebulun. And I went, is it Zip? Just stupid. It's just things that you just, oh no. And then people said that, just do that. Or no, do that. And then the rest of the cast are like, we'll have it. So. But yeah. It was amazing, and then obviously the feedback from the judges and the audience was just insane. And then I believed in myself a bit more, so I felt even if I do sing made-up words, they loved it. Well, it's not so bad. Yeah.
And I think we've all seen, Britain's Got Talent. They're very clever at editing, aren't they?
Yes.
They know how to edit clips up. They know what the audience want, and I don't know if we're allowed to kind of share some clips. I'll work out the whole copyright behind the scenes and stuff. We'll work it out. But, you go on this stage and you're quite evidently nervous. Yeah. There's some shaking, some kind of fidgeting and such. And then you come out with this most beautiful voice. It's the most gorgeous voice, and everyone's rooting for you, and you get a standing ovation at the end. I mean, what were the emotions, when you finish there, you finish singing about, Thomas the Tank Engine, whatever words you chucked in there. How did that feel?
Thank goodness that's done. That's how I felt, but also it was thank goodness that's over, because I literally thought, oh my gosh, it felt so raw. Emotions were amazing, because I was loving it, but also I was absolutely terrified, because I knew that the song was going on and I didn't know the rest of it. I was freaking out. But then to see that audience acceptance of me was a pivotal moment, actually, because I had a lot of insecurities, a lot of problems, and I didn't really believe in myself a lot. And I must have, to go on that programme, though, I must have had that fight in me to do something like that, because I even look back now, I was like, I was in not a position where I should have actually done that, I don't think. But, everything happens for a reason, and I was meant to do it for whatever reason, and so it was amazing. Yeah.
And I'm a big believer in that, and, I think when everyone looks back at their life and the decisions they've made, even for the business, I look back and go, why the hell did I do that? Like, it's so out of character, but it's worked, and it played off. So, obviously, how intensive was the whole BGT? How many weeks did it go on for before the final?
No, before the final. So we had 1 week before the final. So it's very fast. X Factor goes on for ages.
Right.
With Britain's Got Talent, you don't even have time to turn around. It's insane. So I had a week, and then the final, and then what they don't know again, what the audience doesn't know is that I had a totally different song planned for the final. It was Un bel di vedremo from Madame Butterfly, and it was the suicide song where she, she's desperately sad and emotional. And Simon Cowell rang me the night before and was like, this is, not going to work. I want you in a white dress. I want you to look angelic, and I want you to sing Nessun Dorma. And I was like, a man song the night before, and I was like, oh my gosh. And he was like, I was like, do I have to do it? And he said, you don't have to do it, but it's my show. Oh, yeah. And I was like, okay. And he went, but no, it's up to you. He said, but I know. Just trust me. I know. It's my show, and I know how this will go. So, and do you know what? He was right. And I really disliked him at that point, because I thought, I've got to learn this tenor aria. It's not for a female, but what the hell, I'll do it anyway. And I was just panic learning, and I don't do well in those situations. I hate that. So, but I knew I had to trust him to go for it. And because everybody knew it from Italia 90, that it was, it was a big song, and if a female can crack that, amazing. So I did, and I got to second place, and he did know what he was talking about. As much to my, and I wasn't happy. But now, later on in life, I go, he was right. He was so right, because if I'm like, what is this? What is this? Like, nobody would know. It would be emotional, but I don't think I probably would have got to second place, really. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's just a song that not many people would have heard. So
yeah.
And Nessun Dorma, people are like, oh, that's what Pavarotti sang. And so he was quite right to do so.
Yeah, and once again, I've listened to that several times on the run up today. Beautiful, beautiful version. And with that final, because you were only young at the time, you're still young now, but you were younger then, at 24, I think. Then, so still young, very fresh. On that night of the final, you had beautiful earrings in on that night, by the way. They looked gorgeous. Oh. When I say I do my research, I do my research.
I don't even know.
Yeah, have a look later and you'll see what I'm talking about. They're lovely. Yeah. The emotions and the nerves must have been...
Oh, I was terrified. And also, that you could potentially win, or this could potentially be still, if you didn't win, life-changing. And also, that, I think it was for the final, it was 11 million people were tuning in. And if you... And I went on voice rest because I was losing my voice because of trying to keep singing this tenor. It was quite high set for the female voice, and they didn't change the key for it. So I was on voice rest for the rest of the day, and I was just nervous because I was thinking, what if I forget the words? What if I forget the words? Because that's something with my anxiety that I had quite a bit of always managing to make myself forget the words because I was convinced I was going to forget. And so I made myself, like, if I just had that, oh, it's fine, what will be, it would just be, you know, because as we're speaking now, it just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? But if I really think about it, I'll mess up. So I really had to put myself in a place that was, I don't know. I don't know. I actually can't remember what I was thinking about at the time. Just, I was sheer terror. Maybe,
yeah, I can only imagine. And, you know, I remember seeing it. So it was Calabro, I think, who won, I think, if that's right. So, you know, their group of 4, I think it was, and yours stood there. You know, that was I assume the heart was racing, just waiting for a name to be announced.
I kind of knew that they would win anyway. You see the media going that certain way. We were all kind of tipped off that it was going to go that way anyway. So I kind of, but then you hold that hope that maybe that's wrong, and you might, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was insane. But I didn't actually, I just felt great relief that the show was actually done. Because it was so much, it was so hard on like your emotions and everything, and mentally draining, the whole thing. And we had a really lovely team, but still nothing prepares you for being thrown into the limelight as, you know, just coming from a normal working girl to something that's, you know, it's potentially changing your life. And then people are always commenting on what you look like. And obviously at the time I had gap in my teeth, and I've got some lovely veneers now. But there was a guy on Twitter actually put, well, at least if she wins, she can get her teeth done. And I was like, damn right. So, and I came second, and I got, I think it was like £40,000 to record the album. And the first thing I did was get my teeth done. I was like, right. So, because that was something I was always self-conscious of as well. So when it came to my singing, I really didn't like to open my mouth, which, like, go figure, I've got to actually do that. So actually, it's improved my singing a lot more, because now I just smile all the time. So yeah, so it's great. So there's been some good things that came from it, some not so good things when you get trolled and stuff like that. But
yeah, well, keyboard warriors are wherever you go.
Mm-hmm.
But there is life after Britain's Got Talent.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, we've got some more specific questions, but how has it been since that? I mean, coming immediately after that, I imagine, was just sort of a whirlwind with having to do all the press that they had set up for you and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't prepared for it all, but I loved it. But then equally, there was a lot of, like, with the managements and things, there was a lot of things that you didn't really want to do. Again, this is where, like we were speaking earlier, that this is where I should have been able to say no to things and to not be a people pleaser. But then there's a lot of things and a lot of events that you go to or that you sing at that you don't really pretend, like, you don't want to do, that it's not for you, but you're in this world and you've got to try and keep staying at the top. So you do it. And in the end, I just thought, I don't want to sell my soul. And and in the end, you know, I've been on a massive roller coaster. Very happy now, but there's some things that I just thought I wish I'd have said no to, because it caused me more grief in my mental attitudes to things and my mental health than anything. But also I had some fantastic opportunities to sing it, you know, with Andrea Bocelli and Catherine Jenkins, Ella Jones, and I met Samuel L. Jackson. I sang at his event. I met so many amazing people. I even sang at the Community Shield at Wembley, and, you know, it was amazing. I loved it. Yeah, so it's been amazing. And the albums, I thoroughly enjoyed doing that. Yeah, I don't know. It's been weird and wonderful. Fantastic.
Sorry to butt in. This wasn't a question we prepared, but how did? Because obviously it was a whirlwind for yourself, obviously, and once again you were younger at the time than you are now.
Yeah.
What was that knock-on effect to your family? Because your mum in the show was like your biggest cheerleader. Yeah. Surely they must have been swept along with that. Surely.
Yeah, like I mean, my mum used to get so stressed out with like any negative comments that we've always. She would see a lot. She'd want to find back on my behalf, so she would go back at the keyboard warriors and I'd be like, no, but we can't. But then also she just loved to read the magazines. It was on the TV. She was so excited for me. But I think, took a toll on all of us to see what, the heights that you can get, but also the lows that you can get. So, but she still champions me now, like, if not more now than ever. And it's brilliant. The family was so supportive, and it was nice. And yeah, it's just has been amazing. And it did bring the family closer as well. So
good.
Yeah.
Good. Like today, which we'll come on to later,
Yes.
I guess. But we'll take a little short break there just to give the camera a little rest, and we'll be back in a second. Sophia, it's awfully kind that I, as the owner of Paragon Sales Solutions, have sponsored this podcast.
That was very generous of you to do.
Honestly, sometimes my generosity knows no bounds. But what do you know about Paragon?
Well, I know quite a bit about it since, I also work at Paragon Sales Solutions.
What's your favourite activity that they do? Or service?
I really love the fact that they have handled all of our digital marketing, which was very kind of them
They
to
have.
do.
They have, all for free. Can you
All
believe
for
it?
free.
All for free. That's very kind. And you head up the telemarketing team?
I do. I answer calls. I take calls.
I mean, it's more exciting than that, though, isn't it?
Well, I generate leads. I make sales. I help other businesses grow, which is all fantastic.
And what is the most exciting thing about Paragon Sales Solutions?
The incredible boss that we have heading up our team. No, it's the free tea and coffee.
I was happy to say the first answer, I'll be honest. Because without the first answer, the second answer wouldn't exist.
This is true. But yeah,
Where can people find out more about Paragon Sales Solutions?
people can find out more about Paragon Sales Solutions at, would you guess it, ParagonSalesSolutions.com.
It's only so after you say it so many times you realise that it's such
Paragon
a
Sales,
top.
Paragon
So you can't do it. Paragon Sales
Three
Solutions.
times fast.
Paragon Sales Solutions, Paragon Sales Solutions, Paragon Sales Solutions. You go.
Paragon Sales Solutions, Paragon Sales. You're getting sleepy.
You didn't even say one.
Okay, so yeah, so 10 years since then. What have been the sort of career highlights? I know that that's a large span of time.
Yes. Obviously doing my albums.
Yeah.
My first one being Fantasia. Yeah, that was my very first EP. That was insane.
I would like that signed before you go.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, but it was crazy. It didn't feel real. Like having a photo shoot done, having videos like that. We did 2 videos. We did Nessun Dorma and Habanera as the advertisements for, and we did the music videos for that. And it was just insane. They got me these amazing gowns, and it was a black Vivienne Westwood one, and it was like sweetheart neckline, really cinched you in, and then it got cape to it. And I loved it because I was going through my very kind of dark and gothic. I didn't want to be your traditional, I'll cut me now anyway, your traditional going to blonde kind of singer. But I was going through such turmoil at the time with trying to figure out who I was, what I wanted to be, who I wanted to be, and a lot of other things that had been going off in my life, as well as, dealing with such confidence issues. And it might not appear in those videos that I was going through that, but I certainly was dealing with internally. And and so I went through that kind of motion of wanting to be the dark angel of music kind of thing, of classical music. And I didn't want to be like Catherine Jenkins, because I just wasn't. I wasn't where I am now. And I'm so happy now that I have gone through that. But I look back on fond memories of that and thinking that, wow, I really smashed it still, even though I was going through all those, those feelings and that turmoil. And it just shows you what you can do. It's either fight or flight, And that was amazing. And then Community Shield, Wembley, I think it was Arsenal and Man City, and singing the national anthem. Again, I went through my classic anxiety. I forget the words. Everybody knows. But everyone was singing along, and it was amazing. And I actually felt like I was on Gladiator because there was pyros going on. I felt that. And it was 80,000 people. I was like, yes, I was walking on. It was just insane. Again, another Vivienne Westwood dress I couldn't breathe in. But it was, that, singing at Samuel L. Jackson's event called One for the Boys. That was about testicular cancer. And I sang with Jonathan Antoine. We sang with prayer. I met him and Luke Evans and Paloma Faith. Everybody was in that room, and they all yeah, it was just insane. Just, and then singing at Windsor as well. I always forget that I did that. I sang at Windsor Castle, and I sang for people like Kate Moss, who was absolutely out of phase, singing along to Nessa Dollar with me as I was trying to sing, and she was like, no! And I was like, okay. And it just made me laugh. So I was just like, wow, this is insane. And I was sat with Beatrice and, I forgot the other...
Oh, the other princess.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh my goodness, that's so bad. But I was like, I had to go and ask to leave the dinner table and go and eat in a separate room because they wouldn't stop talking to me, and I had to save my voice because it was going. And I was like, really sorry, I'm going to have to. And I spoke to my manager. I was like, I need to go and sit in a room where I don't have to talk to anyone. But Beatrice was lovely. She just loved to talk as much as I love now to speak. And so we were having this great conversation. And I was like, I've got to sing in a minute. It's just not going to happen. It's actually removed myself from the dinner party. It was amazing though. And then I actually have a photo. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I was on one of the thrones. I think that's really bad. I've got a photo of it, and I'm scared to ever show it. I actually sneaked into a room, and my bodyguard I had the security guard, and he was like, "Come and sit in there." And it was a gold throne, and he went quick. And I don't know. I know what I don't. I think that's an offence. I think that is. So I have got things that I've just exposed myself. It's fine. Then the tea.
That's the end of the podcast, Sophia. That's it. That's the end of it.
They're going to come and get you now. No.
Yeah.
There'll be a statute of limitations on as well. What's that thing like?
Yeah. So there were some fun moments in my life of my career to do with performing as well. So, but like I say, I don't just perform. I do other jobs as well. I like to be busy and active and work in very regular jobs as well to keep me ticking over, because there's nothing worse than sitting at home and just waiting for work to come to you. And I'm not that kind of person. So, yeah. So I've lived quite a varied life, and I've really quite enjoyed it.
And do you think it was those big moments, obviously, and also you were opening for Andrea Bocelli and doing all of these big things. Do you think that it was that helped you get over the stage fright, or do you think it was time?
No, it definitely didn't. Because I still was absolutely terrified, and I was terrified up until my last cruise that I've just been on. That's where the change happened. It just I went through a lot of soul searching, and I had to really find out why I was singing and who it was for, and just why I decided to go for that career, what it was, and also just give up my life as I knew it to renew and to start afresh. And so there may be physical differences with me, with my hair and stuff like that. I'm just shredding the old and coming back as a totally new person. And I love, my symbol is the butterfly always, because I just think, how that can transform, and how I'm changing now as a person in my beliefs, in how I feel as a person, my mindset, and also outside as well. I've never been healthier. Like my skin as well. I know I was saying earlier with sugar that I've had acne for 10 years. It's been horrendous. I'll show you some photos of it. It's awful. And it was literally everywhere. I had like this big cyst, and I was constantly putting makeup on because I was singing on stage, and you don't want it. But as soon as I started to really take care of myself and my well-being and my mental health, and stop with obviously sugar and things like that, but also just my mindset, it's gone. It's completely gone. And now I literally just think, well, why didn't I do that earlier? Literally, all my career, I've literally struggled with so much, and now I'm living the best life I can. And I've gone through the bad. There's been so much bad, but it's where I'm putting myself. And I've just realised that the journey I'm putting myself on is down to no one but myself. So being a people pleaser doesn't appease me anymore. Saying no when I can is a great source of comfort to me now, because I know I'm in control. And I've had to learn that even now, just working at a gym for temporary time just to help out and just to keep me sane, I've had to learn to say no. And that's incredibly hard to do. But once you do it, you feel very liberated. So, yeah.
There's nothing wrong. It's probably the wrong word. I don't think there's anything wrong with that selfishness and putting yourself first. There's so many sayings. You can't fill from an empty jug. If if you're on an airplane, you're supposed to put the air mask on yourself first instead of anyone else because you've got to look after yourself. And I'm in big agreement. I think there's a direct correlation between nutrition, exercise, and mental health. They kind of form a tripod, in my opinion. And you can't fix one without trying to fixing another. They all work together.
It's just like cogs, that how they turn. If one's broke, you're not going to get anywhere. It's like your car. It's a great analogy. You have to sort this out before you sort everything else out, because that's like your engine of your car. If that doesn't work, your car isn't going anywhere. That's what your body is.
And 100%. I heard an analogy recently using a car as well. And they said, look, if you were 16 and you could have any budget in the world to buy you one car, but that car could only last you for the rest of your life, what car would you go for? And they choose that car. They say, so now you've got that car, that's got to last you for the rest of your life. So what would you do? Would you put in the best possible oil? Would you give it the best possible fuel? Would you clean it every week? Would you look after it? Would you change its tyres? For a car, we would.
Yeah.
But for ourselves, we neglect ourselves. Like you say, I could talk for hours about the dangers of sugar and the over-enthusiasm of sugar in everything that we eat, to a degree, dairy as well. I mean, we're sat in front of a bar, but alcohol to a degree, a little bit, But there's so much, there's so much.
I will say, though, I think me pursuing my physical health has actually been a detriment to your mental health.
Don't really want to talk about it, to be honest, Sophia. So I'm, obviously, as you can tell, I'm an avid gym goer.
Yeah.
Okay, obviously, it's understandable. And so you and Connor have recently started going.
Started a new health kick.
Yeah, so they go to the same gym, right? So the first time, this was about a week or two ago, I'm there. I'm absolutely killing myself on the treadmill, right? I'm leaving nothing left. I knew they were going to be there, so I needed to really impress, right? So I've done a big workout and I've literally killed myself on the treadmill. They come in. Sophia literally looks at me, right? Looks at me. And so the gym is crowded. I wave really like a sim, and she just blanks me. And then momentarily thereafter just walks in front of me on the treadmill without even saying hello or anything.
I have made this argument. When I'm in the gym,
You're in your own world.
I'm trying so desperately not to look at anyone. Yeah. Because I don't want to make them conscious or be rude. So even if I'm looking, I'm scanning.
Actually
I'm not staring.
Yeah. I get that, though.
And I do get that. I'm really, really not looking at him because I would never. But I understand how it must have looked. And made only worse by the fact that we went back to the gym.
Just on Monday.
On Monday. And did the exact
same thing. I was literally on the treadmill again. She looked at me. This time I didn't wave because I was in full-on sprint mode. But she still looked at me and I got nothing.
Yeah, and I just get a message saying, I'm heartbroken.
Oh.
Yeah. I think it stems down to a lot of childhood trauma, being middle child, so I always need that attention. So it brought back some triggers for me. So
if anyone sees Rob at the gym, ignore him.
No, just come and talk to me. Come and say hello. Just come.
No, but it's that thing. It was like someone waves and then you don't realise that if it could be that person waving at you. But so many times I've had someone wave at me, I've waved back, and it's not that person. And you're like, oh, I don't know that. And it's someone behind you. And you're like, oh.
I'm trying so hard not to stare at anybody. And so I'm not even looked at you long enough to realise that it is you.
It's all right. It's okay. I've spoken to my therapist now. We're all okay. We're all fine. We did say we were going to have a press-up-off.
We did.
Today, but I don't think we've got the room to do it. It's really small on bits.
No, I was going to say whatever drink.
I mean, yes. I'm open to it. So, in terms of your career now, I know you're going off on a cruise again very soon, which I want to talk about, but you've done Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat. As I said upstairs, I was brought up with that. So,
That was our childhood, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think my mum's was in it at the Haymarket Theatre when she was younger. Yeah, if memory serves. I could be wrong, and maybe I need to fact check this. I'm sure my mum's got a photo of her with, what's his name? This is going to turn into another rubbish Rob story. The guy from Love Actually, Hans Gruber. No, Hans Gruber in Die Hard. Someone help me out. Rick. Anyway, a famous actor. And that's a rubbish story.
Wait. Oh, not the guy from Harry
Potter.
Yes, Snape.
Oh, Snape. Sorry.
Snape. What's his name? Rick. Rick, producer Molly is going to research. I'm sure she's got a face of that. But I was brought up with that musical on
Something
VH1.
man.
Rickman? Alan Rickman! It's not this.
That was amazing. Rickman.
Oh.
Alan. That's it.
Alan Rickman. Yeah, it's not Rick. Alan Rickman. So yeah, I'm sure she's your face.
Yeah, that was Harry Potter. He was in Die Hard, but not that he was in Harry Potter.
Oh, I forgot it was Snape. I know. I'm sorry, but yeah, I was brought up with that. I still remember the VHS version of it with Donny Osmond. You know, I still think I can belt out.
Oh, I loved it. That was the best, though. Hope they don't redo that again. You know how they're redoing all these movies?
Yeah.
Like they did Cats, and that was
Good enough alone.
a disaster. So, no, unless I'm in it. Then I would do it.
Well, that was going to be one of my questions. A, do you have a favourite musical? And secondly, what is like your dream role? Silence.
They're making Cats.
Yeah, actually, they've just said this. What? Actually, I always loved Cats. So Cats was my absolute favourite, and then there was Joseph as well.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Right, it's gone now. It's gone.
Okay.
It's gone.
But Cats, I always wanted to be the white cat, but I can't dance. I can dance a bit. My partner would say, can't dance properly. I could try, but the thing is, like, it's fine. I can move, but I'm not a dancer. So that part I will never get in my entire life, because she's like, she's really bendy, isn't she, and slender and ballet dancer. So yeah, obviously not. I'm a baby elephant when it comes to dancing. So, but then I always wanted to be a narrator, and then I got to do it. So that was amazing. And then I'm just trying to think. There's like Les Mis I've always loved. Phantom of the Opera. But I went for an audition for that, and they said I was too buxom. And I didn't get that role, but they said I could come back as Carlotta. So it was just missing then for a second. So I was like, great. Thanks. So I've not been back to do that, but anyway, yeah.
So who would you play in Les Mis? Who would you?
Effany. I would love to. Yeah. Belt that out. Yeah.
Rob all over.
Yeah. You'll hear me belt out hits from Les Mis. Probably like 80% of the time.
Good that you didn't do that on my arrival.
Next time, there's going to be...
If you let him know, you'd have it ready.
Oh, yeah, I'll be ready to go. You know, the thing is I'm in a bit of a conundrum, because I think I could play pretty much every role, you know. So it's always hard for me, you know. Naturally,
Absolutely.
we have joked about doing a Rob Spence one-man Les Mis.
These days.
Even now, I'll sing One Day More, and just every little part of it. Every little part. I try and harmonise with myself. Doesn't quite work.
When the gusts come in.
Yeah, exactly. But you're a massive musical fan as well?
Massive musical fan. This is all we talked about, really, in my interview.
In your interview, we just discussed musicals.
That's all you need to know about.
So there you go. Yeah, it's cool.
They're distracted away from the fact you're rubbish at maths. So we just...
Don't bring that up.
No, and then, of course, you were in Sleeping Beauty only last year, weren't you, I believe?
That was fun. I was the fairy. I was the good fairy.
The good fairy, yeah.
It was actually meant to be Wizard of Oz. Yeah, it was that supposed to be that show.
Was it the Wizard of Oz and you just got the words wrong? Is that...
Busted. No, it was that, because I was going to play Dorothy, and I was so excited. I was like, yes, I can't wait. But then there was, I think, at the Empire, they were doing the Wizard of Oz, the show, the musical version. So we couldn't do it. So they changed it to Sleeping Beauty. And I thought, yes, I'm going to be Sleeping Beauty. And I get to sleep through the second half of the show. Amazing. But then he said, no. He said, you sing and you're going to act. He said, so I want you for all of it so you can be the fairy. Yeah. So that's fine. I just thought I was going to get rest. Because, like, in the last one I did was Snow White, and I thought I'm going to eat the apple. Second half, I'll be asleep. No. But I died for literally, like, 2 minutes. So, yeah, they're making the most out of what I can do, of my talents. So it's fine. But, yeah, that was fun. That was with Katie Price.
It was, yeah.
She was playing the bad fairy, which was hysterical. She's actually really good at the bad fairy. And she gets a bad rap all the time. But she is a wonderful person. She's lovely, and the press do kind of pound her so much. But I have to say, she's one of the most wonderful mothers to Harvey. Like, she's so good with him. She's incredibly good with any children that's got any disabilities. And when we did a lot of photos and meet and greets, we were obviously ourselves are very lovely with the children, but sometimes we're taken back by not knowing exactly how we could be. And she just goes straight in. She treats them like, obviously we were treating them like normal people. They are normal people, but you're just a bit tentative because, it's just one of those things. But she just goes straight in and she just leads the way. And it was fantastic. And to see her with Harvey. And Harvey got on stage and he did a little song and the audience went crazy for him. It was wonderful. Yeah, so it was really lovely. And to be on stage with her as well when she decided to ad-lib and just go crazy. I think that was because we did do an adult night as well. Right. Well, she thoroughly enjoyed that. And so you never knew what was going to come out of her mouth. And even sometimes I was a little taken back. I was like, okay. She loved it. And so did the audience. So it was great. Yeah. It was weird, wonderful.
And how did you find this schedule? Because that would have been chaotic, wouldn't it? Surely.
Yeah, I mean, it was intense. I think we had a week's rehearsal, and then we went in for 3 week shows. So learning all of that, the songs and the dance routines and everything, and putting me and Katie Price, who are not the best dancers, in together, trying to do a dance sequence was the most painful task, I think. Most hilarious. In the end, the choreographer was like, just walk. Just walk back and forth. You'll be fine. So, and step touch. That was it. So, it was it. Yeah, it was hectic. It was crazy. It was in Liverpool and we went to Jelly Studios. I got bus there every day. But it was quite nice, but the weather was just awful. It was so windy. We had that really bad wind. And it was just insane. But it was lovely. The audience, it was always packed. It was good fun.
Oh, amazing. And now you're back on with Viking.
Yes, doing my second one with Viking now. I just love singing the shows. We're doing a lot more shows now. We're doing ABBA and Beatles. So obviously, yes. So get my ABBA on. Love that. And then we're doing Coast to Coast. So it's we're doing a lot of Elvis stuff in there as well. And we're doing Elton John pieces. I'm trying to think what else. We're singing a lot of Rat Pack stuff, and then there's a Frankie Valli section as well, which I love. And I'm trying to think what else we've got. Southern Sounds country show. I am not a country singer, so I love every type of music, but that has to be the most challenging for me. And I have to say goodnight, folks, at the end of and it's just funny because I just can't do it.
Do you have to do it in the accent?
Good night, folks, and I can't do the accent. And my partner sends us in to just laugh at me, and the audience have a good giggle. And then we trying to sing Here You Come Again, and Stand By Your Man with a country accent. Just probably doesn't translate well. Well, I give it a good try.
Which is the right thing.
Yeah. And they seem to like it, and I haven't been sacked yet, so no, it's good fun. And then we do our own shows as well, so I do my opera show, and we've got a really good team, me, Daniel Ellis, we've got a new guy called Barry who's in as well, and it's just, we're going to be on for 8 months this time, so we start off in Norway and finish in New Zealand, and I'm going to Hawaii and Bora Bora. I'm excited, and it's next time I do that whole thing. Yeah, so I get a mini holiday as well. Not mini, really, in 8 months. So doing the med and all that. So it's lovely. So, and I love also it's about working with people because we do a lot of the door greets as well and we're welcoming people. And I love that. And I love just getting to know people and then you see them in the audience and they're having a great time. And it's just very familiar. And then we go and eat at the restaurant and it's just lovely. And we've got sushi every day and I just love it. Luxury. Yeah. Get yourself on a cruise.
I was going to say, maybe this is where the Rob Spence one-man lane show.
How many get this? Get dead to fly us for a week.
Yeah.
2 shows and the rest are holiday.
I was going to say, I don't think they'd want 2 shows, to be honest. I may have bigged myself up a little bit. It could be just one show. But But no, I think we're getting the way from Molly
Right.
that we're nearly there. So I know Sophia's got one last final question for you.
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of heard a little bit about it, but plans for the future, what's next?
Oh my gosh. Actually, just being happy. Do you know, my plans for the future is to just keep living how I'm living now, and anything that comes along the way performance-wise is the bonus. But I'm going back on, obviously, the cruise, and that's what I'll be doing for the next 8 months. And then, yeah, whatever happens, happens. But happiness is key. Never be a people pleaser. I think they know. Some of the most beautiful ideas for the future I've ever had.
That's probably been the best response we've had.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I really like that. But no, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure. And just to kind of fill in, we alluded to very slightly earlier that we're actually related.
We are.
We're still into what we need to work out how that relation comes into play. But we're going to go with
Kind of distant cousin.
second or third cousin. Yeah, and look at where we've turned out. Look at this. Isn't it funny how the universe has all these platforms? Right, exactly. But no, honestly, thanks so much. It's been I think we could probably speak for another half an hour to an hour, to be honest. But we've taken up enough of your time.
Chat.
No, it's been great. But thank you so much. And as always, thank you so much to you, the viewer or listener, for staying tuned. We've been the How I Failed in Business podcast. Please make sure you hit the follow button, subscribe, like, share with a couple of your friends, and make sure you stay tuned for future episodes that are now coming out twice a week, aren't they, Sophia?
Yeah.
Twice a week. I would like you to sign off. I would like you, please, Lucy, if you can. Can you give us the good night, everyone, in that country accent again, please?
Good night, folks.